So, welcome. Yay. So, of course, you have your choice who you would like to work with as your buyer's agent when you are searching for your home. And my sincere hope is that you choose me. This is a full-time job for me, and I love what I do. So I take it very seriously, and I believe that if you're going to be in this business, you should want to be the best. So I have credentials that will help me be more of an expert at representing buyers, representing sellers. So I have the accredited buyer's representative designation, and I have to renew that every year. I have ongoing training and support to best represent buyers. And then the fourth bullet down, pricing strategies advisor certification, that also helps me price properties so that if you're making an offer on a home, we can make sure that you're probably not offering too much. We want to make sure that the house is going to appraise. So my PSA certification allows me to give you a good CMA, a comparative market analysis that would get as close to what an appraiser's opinion of value would be without me actually being an appraiser. So I'm also a graduate of the University of Maryland, business marketing. And I have a background in financial services where I did counseling. I did first-time homebuyer classes as a branch manager, and I also did wealth management there in their premier banking. So personally, I've been a homeowner since 1998. And I did real estate investing since 2003. So I'm dialed into how value can increase in certain areas, and where you should really decide to put your money. So I also like to DIY. I'm handy. I like to build for Habitat for Humanity, which is where I learned a lot about being handy, and love home staging as well. So this is one of Chris' slides. Chris would normally say, hey, look at what's going on with rates. They're just taking a dive. So obviously you've probably heard that interest rates are at historically low levels. You pretty much can't go wrong. After some initial volatility from the shutdown, rates are averaging in the low 3% range, even after all of the uncertainty surrounding coronavirus. There are rates that you can even get below 3 if you know where to look. Typically, though, those rates are going to involve a 15-year mortgage, which means a slightly higher mortgage rate because of the condensed period of time that you have to repay that loan, or an adjustable. I have had adjustable rate mortgages in the past when I've owned homes, and I was not as nervous, not nearly as nervous about it as I thought. So if that's a possibility for you, great. What I would say is I like to stay in my lane when it comes to talking about interest rates, but your loan officer will be able to talk to you about where the adjustable rate mortgages are in terms of rates and whether or not that makes sense for you. Chris also likes to point out how affordable homes are today versus when rates were much higher. And in this example, a $250,000 mortgage at 3.25% would cost $1,088. But back when rates were 6.625, it was a $1,600 payment for the exact same house. So don't wait until rates go back up really high. That same house would have cost you $500 more. A $400,000 mortgage would have cost you $821 more. And it's just not worth it to sit around and wait for rates to go back up. It's a good time to buy as far as rates are concerned. So you want to establish your buying power, and you want to meet with Chris He can meet face-to-face. He can meet by Zoom. These days, most of his meetings are by Zoom, understandably. The office is open, and he does go into some appointments, but I think he prefers to do everything virtually. If you submit an application to Chris, you're going to get an answer very, very quickly. Down at the bottom right, you also see another one of our partners, Classic Settlements, and they are our title partner. So they have a close on time guarantee that allows buyers to have some peace of mind about meeting settlement dates. We don't miss settlement dates when we are in control of the financial services as well as the title work. Can't really speak for other title companies because Classic Settlements has been so good at getting things done for us in the past. All right, so first things first, you're going to submit to your lender most likely your pay stubs, sometimes tax returns, bank statements, and I will just go ahead and ask for your patience now because it's going to seem like a never-ending laundry list of documents that your lender wants from you. Have patience and know that there is a method to the madness, and they will eventually stop asking you for documents. Chris is going to pull your credit score. He's going to help you address any credit issues. He's going to tell you how much home you can afford, how much cash you're going to need at settlement, and how to overcome any obstacles in terms of closing costs or down payment. Some common sources of down payment include your personal savings. I put Uber and Lyft, just kidding, whatever kind of, because if you're finding yourself a little bit short on down payment or closing cost money, there are some things that you can do to beef up your down payment, but we all know that you can't use that as a source of income for qualification. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people are doing the Dave Ramsey beans and rice, rice and beans. Just save hard, hard, hard until until you have enough to settle, and then also enough for a rainy day fund, so that you're not going into your house poor and not able to afford your couch. You are able to use gift money, and that is only from certain people. So you have to make sure that the source of that gift money qualifies. It can be like your mother, but it can't be your friend from work. So talk to your lender about that. Seller subsidies would be closing help. The seller sometimes will pay some of your closing costs. So that is a possibility sometimes. If you're in a competitive bidding situation, however, maybe not. The answer a lot of times that I will give you is it depends. There are down payment assistance programs. There are USDA loans that are 100% financing, VA loans, and other zero down payment loan programs. So just talk to your lender about that. Housing Opportunity Commission is a Montgomery County program, and PDU, moderately priced dwelling units. Also Montgomery County CDA is the State of Maryland Bond Program. These are assistance programs that your lender may utilize. The financing process obviously will include your credit. So the stronger your credit, the better you'll qualify for a lot of loan programs. So it's going to be a good idea to figure out how to beef up your credit. MyFICO.com is an excellent resource if you want to improve your credit and find out more about credit scores. If you are in the 750 or higher range, congratulations, you've done a great job. Those folks are going to qualify for the best rates and programs. And your lender is also going to help you decide on the best loan for your purchase. So, can you qualify conventionally? That is usually preferred by most sellers because there are fewer restrictions. FHA, USDA, VA loans have tougher restrictions, sometimes take a little bit longer, and the appraisal process is a little bit more tricky, a little trickier. So conventionally, if possible, otherwise, let's look at some of these other loans and get you in a house. It's important to know about the money. And when you talk to your lender, you're not just going to get pre-approved and get a pre-approval letter. You're going to find out how much total cash to close you need. So if you know you only have $10,000 in your total cash to close on the loan estimate form that you're going to get from your lender, remember the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau says that lenders have to provide a loan estimate. And that's a lot like a closing disclosure. It allows you to see how much total cash to close you're going to need at settlement. So if you know you only have $10,000 in your savings account and your loan estimate says $17,000 is required at settlement, then we know that we have to get the seller to help you pay for some closing costs and maybe get a program to kick in for $5,000 or $10,000 and let you keep more money in your pocket. So there's your money up front. We'll talk about that. And then your remaining cash at settlement, you also have to keep in mind that it costs money to move and any immediate renovations or repairs that you'll have to make to the house that you've chosen. Some important money out of pocket that you'll have to take into consideration, your earnest money deposit, and we'll talk about that in a second. Application fee, usually there's not an application fee, but make sure you're asking that of your lender. Your inspection fee, you choose the inspector. We have a partner because we are an all under one roof company. US Inspect, you get a discount if you use them, and just mention the code WIKERT and you will get our discount. Your WDI inspection fee, usually that's not that much, maybe $39 to tell you whether or not you have wood destroying insects, and that would be termites or carpenter bees or any other type of insect that eats houses. You'll want to know about that. So make sure you get a WDI inspection, even if your lender doesn't require it. A condo questionnaire, if you're buying a condo, you will have to pay for that. A couple $100, appraisal fee, a few $100. Your lender will collect that from you, usually after you've done the inspection and you're sure you're moving forward with the home purchase. And then if required, if you're doing the Home Ready, the down payment assistance program, and you have to do it online, there's a $75 fee for that. And then your remaining cash to close will be what's left after they've deducted the earnest money deposit that you've already put down. Like I said, you're going to get a pre-approval letter from your lender. You're also going to get that loan estimate. Make sure you get both. And now we talk about the fun part. This is searching for a property. Now, what does it take to find a property during coronavirus shutdown? We're probably going to continue, even as restrictions ease, we're going to have to continue wearing masks and limiting showings. People are going to continue being a little skittish about letting us in their homes. So I have masks that I probably can hand you, gloves, that kind of thing. But most likely, I'm going to be going and previewing homes that you're interested in and sending you a video after I walked and talked that property. I'm going to tell you what I see, what I hear, what I smell, any things that I observe that you wouldn't normally look at because you're not a real estate agent. So I'm going to point out, if a home has potential gutter issues that I can see, or a roof problem, or the sump pump, or moisture because my moisture meter detected something, electrical issues. So I'll pull out my entire bag of tricks as I preview that home for you and let you know of any potential issues. And then you can make the decision if you still want to see that home in person, and if you like it, we could ask the seller to address some of those issues. But you're going to have to tell me what type of property, the size, the neighborhood, the quality of the school system, nearby public transportation, whether it's urban, suburban, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood. Those are things that you have to decide. Remember, we have fair housing laws that we have to abide by, so I can't steer you in any direction toward or away from certain neighborhoods. But you can drive through the neighborhoods and decide where you feel comfortable and tell me, the place on the map where you'd like to look. What type of buyer's market or seller's market are we dealing with these days? So a buyer's market is considered 7 to 10 months of inventory, and a seller's market is 0 to 5 months. And then in between would be a normal market. So in a buyer's market, you can take your time deciding on homes. You can kind of call your shots with your offer. You're going to have terms more favorable to you as a buyer. But in a seller's market, which is kind of where we are, and we have been for quite some time, buyers are kind of forced to make quicker decisions, and they will only take pre-approved offers, and offers need to be above asking price and include an escalation clause in many cases. Not always, but in a lot of cases they do. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But here is a graphic that shows you about absorption rates. So what are these months that we're talking about? So we're assuming if the MLS shut down and we had to sell only what was on the MLS at this moment, how fast at the current pace would all of those homes sell? And a seller's market would be, 1 to 5 months. Where are we currently? We're currently less than 2 months for most properties. And in reality, our months of supply for single family homes, you see the red line is detached single family homes. It's maybe a little bit above 1 month. Townhomes are the green line, that's 1 month, and condos are closer to 2 months. But this is more likely the reality. These are median days on the market for all single family properties. And remember, median falls right in the center, so you're going to have properties that are really not in great condition included in there as well. So the median is 7 days. So that's only 7 days on the market before some buyer came along and made an offer that was accepted by the sellers. Less than 10 days for all types of properties in Montgomery County. I can show you every home that is for sale. So there are 4 types of homes that I can sell you. I can sell you a regular resale home or a used home. I can sell you new construction where the builder is the seller. I can sell you short sale properties, and that's going to require 2 approvals. So in a short sale situation, it's like being upside down on your car. You owe more on the car than the car is actually worth. So that's a more common situation. You take the car to CarMax and they tell you the car is worth, $10,000, but you owe 15, and you got to pay them $5,000 in order to get rid of it. So in a short sale situation where you're selling, a seller is selling their home and they owe more than the house is able to be sold for, the seller is not able to bring the difference to the settlement table in order to sell their home. So they're asking the bank to take the hit, to just forgive that debt. So for example, if the house is worth $550,000, but they owe $600,000 on that home, they're asking their mortgage company to take a $50,000 hit. And most mortgage companies really won't go down that easy. They're going to drag this out. For that reason, I really don't like to sell short sales because it could take an average of 6 months before those homes get an approval from the mortgage company to take that hit. And after waiting that long, I'm sure you'd be frustrated to know that you didn't get the house. So 2 approvals, of course, the owner has to accept the offer, and they usually do. And then the second approval is where the bank approves the short sale, which could happen, or they could come back and say, no, we actually want $600,000 for it. We want $575,000. So that, at that point, you don't have a deal. REO, foreclosure, real estate owned by the bank. So you've heard of these foreclosures being sold at drastically lower price, getting a really good deal on foreclosures. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of deals on foreclosures anymore. There is one right now, for example, in my office that I heard about this morning. And the agent has listed a condo in Germantown. You have to buy it sight unseen. You can drive by, but you can't go inside because there's a tenant there. So if you want to buy it, you have to buy it with the tenant, and you have to honor that tenant's uh, lease if there is one in place, or you have to go through the foreclosure process as the landlord of that property. So you could deal with tricky situations like that, or some foreclosures have a lot of fixing to do, some molds, some exterior cosmetic issues. So that's usually taken into consideration when they're doing the pricing. And we just don't see that many foreclosure homes that are just, move-in ready. So here's some online resources for new and resale homes. For new homes, I'd like you to look at my new homes website, showingnew.com/Joie Ashworth. There you will see listed any homes that are currently offered as a quick move-in home, like they're built and ready to go. They've already chosen the type of countertops and flooring, or a to-be-built home. And you will see some of the to-be-built homes listed in the MLS. It kind of looks like bait and switch because they look beautiful and they're impossibly priced, and then you click on it and the home doesn't exist because it takes about 6 months to build a new home from scratch. But I do sell a lot of new homes to my clients. Homesnap is a great place that you and I can collaborate on finding a home. And I will invite you, homesnap.com/Joie-Ashworth. But you can click on that, or you can wait for my invitation. Basically what it looks like is here's me saying, hi Dan, what did you think of the house that we saw yesterday? And Dan, you say, I liked it, but I also found a few more I want to check out, and you send them to me through Homesnap. And then I click on it. I am able to see confidential information that you may not see. One of the pieces of confidential information in there would be the commission, so I'd be able to see if there's a problem with the commission. But also sometimes listing agents will tell other buyers agents that there is a problem with the property in the confidential remarks only. So they don't want to tell the world that there's mold or rodent issues or a smell or something like that. But they'll put it in the confidential remarks and leave it up to the buyer's agent to tell the client, hey, I know you said that this was a home that you'd be interested in, but there's some mold. Are you still interested in going? And you can say, oh, nope, never mind. We'll skip that one. Here's some other cool apps. I like Realtor.com and Homesnap, obviously. House is a great app if you just want to envision the use of space of some homes. It's hard to see. Sometimes they're empty, but you can see how to redecorate. Spot Crime and Great Schools also, if you're trying to research neighborhoods and you want to look up things like crime and school reports and diversity, things that I can't talk to you about, but you can do your research there. So once we found you the perfect home, we'll write up that offer and include activities that need to be completed so that you can close on your property. It's important at this point to figure out for yourself, how strongly do you feel about this home that you've chosen? And the reason for that is because we need to either put in some contingencies to protect you, or we might want to leave some out. So let's talk about strategy. So in a competitive market, there are ways to make your offer stand out. Is the seller still living there? Do you want to offer a rent back so that you can alleviate some pressure that they have to get out on the day of settlement, or can they just become kind of your tenant for a few days after settlement and not have to rush to get out of their house, to give them a little bit more breathing room for packing and getting out? Sometimes that rent back can be free. So if you're offering a free rent back for a few days, sellers tend to look at that and go, ooh, I like that. That's different. And even if your monetary offer, your price that you're offering isn't any higher than asking price, but you're offering a free rent back, that's a little bit of a sweetener. You could offer to pay a certain amount over the appraised value. So I've had situations where I've written an offer and I said, hey, my buyer is willing to pay $1,000 over a low appraisal. If the appraisal comes back anywhere lower than our contract price, my buyer is just going to come out of pocket with that additional money. It doesn't have to be 1,000, it could be 500, it could be 5,000, depending on the price, and that can seem very significant to a seller. Again, another sweetener. Or you can add an escalation clause. And an escalation clause is going to make sure with an escalation clause, we're going to make sure that your offer contains an appraisal contingency. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. What is an escalation clause? If there are multiple offers on a property, we will definitely want to consider putting in an escalation clause to increase your chances of winning, because you make your initial bid at a certain price, X, and you say that you're willing to beat any competing offer by a factor of Y up to a maximum offer price of Z. And you do so without automatically jumping straight to that maximum offer price of Z. So here is an example. This is the Carter's offer, and they are in love, 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 love with the house. Remember, I said, how much do you really want that house? If your answer is, I love it, I gotta have it, then let's talk about what's the maximum you would pay for that house. So the Carter's offer was $600,000, but they said that they're willing to beat any competing offer by a factor of $10,000 up to a maximum price of $650,000. In this case, the highest competing bid was $620,000, so their final price that they are offering is $630,000. So you can see how this acts as a little sweetener, a little insurance policy to make sure you don't automatically get kicked out, that you're still kind of in the running up to a maximum price, but you don't automatically have to come out of pocket and say, all right, I'll pay $650,000. And then we write in your escalation clause that your loan amount ratio would increase appropriately. So if you had a 90% loan to value loan, and it would still be 90% loan to value. And the offer is still contingent on appraisal. So if it does not appraise for $630,000, the seller, you and the seller can negotiate the contract price back down to the actual appraised value. So that's another protection for you. Making your offer more attractive. If your offer is rejected or you're in a competitive bidding situation, you can increase your earnest money deposit, shorten or eliminate contingencies, or offer a faster closing. Typically, lenders like at least 30 days to settle. Sometimes they can do it in 3 weeks. Something you would want to ask your lender before making that, putting that in writing. What is an earnest money deposit? So I've said EMD a couple of times here. And an earnest money deposit is good faith money, and it shows the sellers that you are serious and you want them to take their home off the market for you. And I like to say that the earnest money deposit is the skin in the game, your skin in the game, in the eyes of the seller. And so that money is going to be counted toward your total cash to close. It's usually anywhere from 1% to 3% of the contract price. So in the Carter's case, their final price was $630,000, and their earnest money deposit was $6,300 because that's 1%. 1% is kind of low for Montgomery County, but we can start there and see if that appeals to the sellers. But if we're in a competitive bidding situation, remember 3% would be better, and I consider it my job to help you protect that. So we'll talk about that in a second when we talk about contingencies. That earnest money deposit is refundable under certain contingency periods, and it would be held by the title company or by Weichert. I like it to be held by the title company these days because of the coronavirus situation. Typically, it would be held by Weichert, and that is held in a separate non-interest-bearing escrow account and highly regulated by the Maryland Real Estate Commission. With your permission, I will include contingencies in your offer to protect you. Some of these contingencies are financing contingency. That might sound like common sense, obviously, but sometimes people waive the financing contingency for some reason. I don't recommend that, because if your loan is not approved, you don't want to still be on the hook to have to buy that house. So if you have a conventional loan, there's going to be a conventional financing contingency, and it says that I will buy your house contingent on the fact that my loan is approved. Same thing with appraisal. I will buy your house contingent on the fact that it appraises at the contract price. Remember, if the appraisal comes back low, most sellers are okay negotiating the contract price down to the appraised value. Inspections. I'm going to write in some inspection contingencies if at all possible. So usually that's going to be a 7-day time frame where you have the right to fully investigate the condition of the home using a professional home inspector. You're also going to possibly hire a company, that same company sometimes, to do the radon report, tell you whether or not there's radon there. Sometimes lead. If it's an older home, pre-1978 property, you might want to see whether or not there is lead in that home. A chimney inspection, a roof inspection, termite, WDIs, wood destroying insect inspection. All of that has a specific time frame, and you're going to want to find out what's going on with that property quickly. If there is a deal breaker discovered during one of these inspections, you want to have the right to void and get your earnest money deposit back. If you don't void during these inspection contingency periods and you wait until the day of settlement to say, oh, you know what, I really don't like the condition of the home, I want to back out, and you refuse to settle, your earnest money deposit is at risk. So that EMD really does hold contracts together and ensures that buyers don't just fold up their arms and walk away on the day of settlement. Because we wouldn't be able to keep any real estate transactions together. But you can sometimes feel comfortable waiving some of these contingencies. That's going to be completely up to you. I try to include them as much as possible, but again, if we're in a competitive situation, maybe 7 days is long. Maybe we want to offer 5-day inspection time frame and just get over there quickly with our inspector and go through that property. If there's an HOA or a condo, you have a certain automatic time frame in which you can investigate the HOA documents that talk about the rules and regulations of that property. You might have to write in a sale of home contingency or a settlement contingency to sell your house that you own before you can buy their home. So all of these are different types of contingencies, and there are more, but the rest are fairly rare. So I will be there to walk you through a lot of the mistakes, deal breakers, whammies that go along with certain things like a low appraisal. How do we negotiate that? Appraisal conditions. Sometimes when the appraiser goes through the property, there are conditions that would not be acceptable to the lender. And therefore they say, this home will appraise at $630,000, except there is water coming in the back door and that needs to be fixed by the seller and re-inspected by the appraiser before settlement. So that would be an appraisal condition. Maybe there's a bad inspection. Let's negotiate our way through that inspection instead of just automatically voiding. If the house is falling down, I understand if you want to back out, but if the house needs a new roof, let's ask the seller for a new roof. If the home just has a lot of tiny things that need to be fixed by an electrician or a painter or this or that, then let's go ahead and ask. What we don't want to ask for are cosmetic issues. With cosmetic issues, just don't make the offer. Or if you do make the offer, go ahead and make the offer and ask for a certain amount of money so that you can replace the carpet and paint after settlement. Condo questionnaire surprises. I've had those come up where the condominium association has a class action lawsuit, and we just found that out because we got the condo docs. Same thing with HOAs where there are fees that we didn't know about. Title and other issues, sometimes hidden expenses come up when the title work is done. So we'll work our way through that and decide who's going to pay for those types of whammies. Preferably, it's the seller, not you. This can be quite a complicated process. So to help manage my buyers through that, I utilize a timeline tool that's personalized to you and your transaction, and then will keep us on track every step of the way. So I create the timeline, I put in all of the dates of your contract once you're under contract, and then I invite you to this timeline. And you know exactly what's coming up, what's next. So one of the first things is turning over your earnest money deposit and scheduling your inspection. Your earnest money deposit, by the way, is deposited as soon as we get ratified. As soon as the contract is accepted, that earnest money check that you write payable to the title company or to Weichert is going to get cash. So make sure those funds are there so you're not bouncing any checks. Now the closing disclosure, lenders are required to provide that CD 3 business days before your scheduled closing. And if there's something on there that looks drastically different from when you first talked to your loan officer, now's the time to ask why. And the CD also shows you where your EMD has been credited right there on line 5. And that amount of money will be your remaining and what amount of money will be your remaining cash to close after the EMD has been subtracted out. And there it is at the bottom left of this closing disclosure document. Once you get this CD from your lender, you can feel comfortable heading over to get your funds for settlement in the form of a cashier's check or a wire in advance of settlement. However, most title companies that you're going to settle at will not take a cashier's check because of a lot of fraud. So beware. When you get ready to do your wire, the real estate industry has been targeted by scammers who either have hacked into emails or other transaction management systems in order to trick buyers into wiring funds to the thieves, the hackers. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me by phone, hear my voice, and let's talk through what you're about to wire. Classic Settlements uses SunTrust, and they use good punctuation when they ask you to do things. So if you receive any kind of strange email, first thing you should do is give me a call. Maybe send me a screenshot of what you just got, and just let me know, and let's make sure before you send. Let's make double sure before you send the wire. These scammers are even calling buyers the day before settlement, a couple days before settlement, and saying, "Hi, my name is Tina from the settlement company, and I'm calling to give you your wire instructions." And a lot of buyers are not even questioning that. They're heading straight to the bank and sending money. Once a wire is transferred, that money is gone. So don't fall for that. This is your settlement. This is where your transaction is finalized. Your title company acts as a clearinghouse. So they're going to take your funds that you just wired to them. They're going to take the funds from your loan, from your mortgage loan, and they're going to subtract out any costs and fees that the seller owes. They're going to send the seller their money, and they're going to give you your keys. And that's your big day. You get your keys, and everybody's super happy, like these folks in this picture. And then you get to enjoy your new home. And at that point, I do not go away. I will always be your expert real estate agent who will be here to answer any questions about things that might pop up the day after settlement. Um, you know, Never hesitate to reach out and ask me questions, because I don't get tired of this. This is my absolute favorite thing to do, because I'm a real estate nerd. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Take care.